Oh, what's up, everyone? So you just saw. Let me make sure it's connected. Yeah, it's connected. Just saw 215 by 8 bench PR, all time PR. Most I've ever done that for was for 7. So it's a 1 rep PR. A PR is a PR. So I wanted to make a long form video, a long instead of a YouTube short, whatever. I haven't made one in a minute on this channel. I haven't done like a training one in a while. So I have been recording a ton of my training because essentially, I don't know if you guys have experienced this or do this yourself. If it's not like a PR set, I really don't even feel like recording it because if it's something I've done a million times, like I'm warming up, like 205 for a single or like 225 for a single or 250, like unless it's like relatively heavy, close to my max, I really don't want to post it. So unless it's like a rep PR or close to my max, I really don't want to post it anymore. And that's just me being me. But I want to hop in here and just talk about how I increased my bench, 25 pounds in just the past year. Um, what happened was I laid off bench or I just laid off training. I was unemployed for a few months. Job market was pretty rough, so I didn't even have a job for a few months. I literally was paying rent off my savings, stuff like that, and it was a rough part of my life. So training slacked. I wasn't training as much. All my numbers dropped. Like I couldn't even bench 2 plates anymore. And that was until maybe like January or probably like January was when, or December is when I got back to 2 plates. And it was really rough because 2 plates were heavy. It was heavy. And then from there, I just started steadily progressing again, building my bench back up. And the thing with strength training is you have to train relatively heavy frequently. Your CNS has to adapt to it. And I'm not going to act like I know it all. I've been training myself for about, 8 years. I know what works for me, what doesn't work for me. But overall strength training, you have to train pretty heavy to get stronger. But it doesn't mean you max out all the time. You're working within like that 60 to 70% range of your 1 rep max. And then you're occasionally, like I don't want to say as rarely as possible, but you don't want to max out often. So how I took my bench from 225 to 265, and I want to say about 8 months is how long it took, was a ton of reps. I worked within the 3 to 5 rep range. I did that frequently, and pretty much I would just build my. Sorry, it's hard to drive and talk at the same time. So I'm trying to, recollect because I just hopped on here just randomly just to talk about what I did. So I did 225 for 1 or for 2 when I got back to it, right? And then from there, I scaled it back. I went for rep PRs. I went for like 12 rep maxes, and then I hit 185 for 13 after a few months, and then I would do different rep PRs and different. I was doing like loads of singles, so I was just slowly progressing. I do like reps, and then I'd end my workout with like a single at like 235, and then I hit 240, then 245, and I was doing singles pretty often, and then every other week or every 2 weeks or so, I would then do some volume. It'd be like 2 or 3 volume weeks, and then 2 or 3 weeks of doing doubles, triples, or sets of 4, whatever. So just off memory, I had 235 for 3. That was a PR maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. And then the next week I then did 240 for a double. And the next week I believe I scaled it back, and then I did an 8 rep max, and I did 205 for 8. So it wasn't a super strict program I was following. Honestly, it was just something that I would have a set weight and set rep range in my head for the whole day. So, for example, when I hit 240 for 2, I hit 235 for 3 the last week. So my next push day, I'm like, all right, I'm going to bump it up 5 pounds. I'm going to try to get at least 2 will be a rep PR. You know, I've never done anything more than 235 for reps. So 235 for 3, no, that was a PR. And then the next week, I'm like, all right, I can maybe get 3, but let's at least get 2. That's a PR. And I got 240 for 2. Then I believe the next week or 2 weeks later, I scaled it back. I then did 205. I think I did 205 for 7. And I think that was a PR or matched my PR. You know, it was a rough day. I worked pretty hard. I was, you know, inadequate sleep, stuff like that. The next week, I just banged it out. 205, hit 205 for 8. Cool. The next week, I believe I did 210 or 215. I then hit that for a rep PR. It was just 215 for 7 or whatever I did, or 210 for 7. Whatever the rep PR was, I can't recollect every set I've done. But essentially what I would do is I'd go for a little bit of improvement every single training day when it came to my bench press. And then when I hit 205 for 8 finally, I then was like, okay, next week I think I did 225 for 5. That's a rep PR. And essentially what I would do is for like 4 to 5 weeks at a time, I do like an 8 rep PR, and then like a 7 rep PR, 6 rep PR, all the way up, and then I would build back up. And I would say every few weeks I would do singles, and I just ever so slowly start building them up. 245, then 250. And the day I got 250, I was feeling, I hit 250. Then like a few weeks later, I did 255. I felt really good that day. Then I hit 265 or 260. And I didn't do a heavy single max out for months. And then I hit 265, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. I failed 270. So what I did today, I scaled it back. I then went for an 8 rep max. I hit 215. So the next week, I'm probably going to go for a 6 or a 7 rep max. Maybe I'll do a 5 rep max. Honestly, it's going to be a rep PR is what I'm going to go for. Maybe I'll do 230 for 5 or 235 for 4. Honestly, whatever I'm feeling that day. So next week, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 230 for 5. That'll be a PR, a rep PR by 3, I believe. I've never done anything more than 225 for 5. I've done 225 for 5, and I've done 225 for 6. So I believe next week I had to just do 230 for 5. New 5 rep max. And could I maybe get 235 for 5? Maybe, but I want as little strength PRs as possible. Can't jump it too much. Because what if I get 235 for 5? I try 240 for 5. You know? So I'm going to do 230 for 5, progress. In a few weeks' time, let's see if I can maybe hit 270. So I just want to hop on here how I'm slowly but surely not having a pencil neck bench press. You know, 265 is still pretty, relative to Instagram and YouTube standards, is pretty weak. But for me, I remember the first time I hit 135. I remember the first time I hit 100 pounds. And then I hit 135. And I remember the first time I hit 155. This will forever be a memory of mine. Dylan, if you're watching this, probably not. Dylan, one of my best buddies, he was spotting me, and it was the slowest rep of my life. I hit 155, and it was just such a grind. It was probably like a 15 to 20 second rep, I kid you not. And then now, in 8 years, my bench has gone up 110 pounds, which isn't a lot to, you know, the steroid-filled people blasting, taking their bench from 225 to 600 in a year type of stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. The people that, you know, claim natty and they blast, they get super, super strong, they peak, whatever, and that's just too risky. You know, it's just too risky to do that type of stuff. I don't want this to be a steroid talk because you do whatever you want, but me personally, you know, I already drink a ton of caffeine. You know, I already have not the best sleep schedule. My nutrition's, you know, 80-20. So, you know, for me, I don't want something to age me a ton. I want to look my age. And what happens with a lot of people take a lot of steroids, they age very, very quickly. I want to age naturally. And I want to I don't care how slow the progress is. I know I've come to terms with it. I'm a super lengthy guy, long arms, and I'm really tall. It's going to take me probably 10 more years to even look like I lift when I have a shirt on. You guys know what I'm talking about. When you guys are tall and you're natty, it doesn't look like you lift. Even though I've been lifting for 8 years now, whatever. I'm done rambling. Like and subscribe, guys. I don't know. I just want to hop on here, ramble, have a video out here. I'm out. Bye.